All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the recess meeting of the Board of Aldermen. This is January the 21st. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed that by an invocation from Chaplain Arender and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer tonight. Gracious Father, giver of every good and perfect gift, we thank you for the blessing that is this day. We receive it as a gift from your hands. We pray now, God, your blessings upon our leaders, upon our nation. We pray that, God, we pray your blessings upon this meeting. We pray that you would give wisdom and guidance to those that have been given the privilege and the responsibility of governance of our city. Thank you for them. We thank you for your blessings each and every day. Be with us now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. And Chaplain, congratulations on your role as the president of Rotary. Have you taken over, right?
In the summer.
In the summer. Okay, I'm sorry. I knew it was coming up. All right. Well, anyway. All right. Thank you, folks, for being here. We appreciate you being with us this evening. First order of business for us is the approval of the official agenda with consented items. Do we have any changes or modifications to the either consented items or the agenda as it is written? All right. Seeing none, if I had a motion for thank you. I have a motion for the approval of the official agenda with the consented items from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Beatty. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries, and without everyone's indulgence, I will read the consented items, which are starting with the Board of Aldermen minutes. Consideration of the minutes of the December 17th, 2019 recess meeting of the Mayor and the Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Consideration of the minutes of the January 3rd, 2020 work session of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. We then have under Mayor's business, discussion and consideration of rejecting and re-advertising the water tower bids for the North Star Industrial Park. Under Board business, we have a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville authorizing and directing the issuance of electric system revenue bonds, Series 2020, of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, in the principal amount of $8,500,000 to provide funds for the purpose of improving, repairing, and extending the electric system of the municipality. Under engineering, we have request authorization to activate the Highway 182 Martin Luther King Jr. Build Grant and authorize the mayor and city engineer to execute any project activation documents as required by the MDOT Project Development Manual and authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of agreement with MDOT for this project pending the city attorney's review. Number 2 is request authorization for the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement with Mississippi State University and Oktibbeha County to complete the Linkage Transportation Alternatives Project. Under Finance Administration, number 2 is request acceptance of the December 2019 financial statements. G, Human Resources, number 1 is request authorization to hire Elizabeth Beck, Stephen Garcia, and Garrett Miles as entry-level police officers and Aaron Hano as a certified police officer in the Starkville Police Department. Number 2 is request authorization to hire Marquez Jordan as maintenance worker in the Sanitation Environmental Services Department. 3 is request authorization to hire Destin Gladney and Arlie Brandon as part-time customer service representatives in the Starkville Utilities Department. H, under Information Technology, we have number 1, request approval of entering a lease purchase agreement with Active Solutions LLC, the lowest and best of 2 quotes, enabling the acquisition of 5 surveillance cameras with all-weather equipment enclosures. Under Parks, number 1, we have consideration of selection of Fred Tate for concession services in the Parks and Recreation Department. He was the sole bidder. And number 2 is consideration of the approval of the facility use agreement with Crosspoint Church for the use of Travis Outlaw Gymnasium. Under Police Department, we have number 1, request approval to purchase the fingerprint machine, 10-print live scan kiosk system from AD&S Inc. of Brandon, Mississippi, the lowest and best of 3 quotes at $15,829. Number 2 is request approval to enter into a grant with the Justice Assistance Grant for fiscal year 20, funding the area of hotspot policing. This request for funding is for $25,000 in overtime hotspot enforcement, one total station crime scene hardware, $12,325.50. Number 3 is request approval of the rental agreement with Canon Solutions America for 60 months of rental of 3 Canon copiers to be used by the Starkville Police Department. And that concludes the consent agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor.
My pleasure. Under Mayor's comments, I have the fun, I ought to share this with somebody sometime, but I always get to introduce new employees. So that is what I get to do this evening. We have recently hired new employees, and we'll start with the Starkville Fire Department. We have Ryan Clausen. Is Mr. Clausen here? There he is. Okay. Ryan is excitedly beginning his firefighting career at 20 years old. He is very passionate about fire and EMS service and began volunteering at age 18. He believes his upbringing in Macon, Mississippi, and the skills he learned on the farm will help him become a successful fireman. He is also skilled in welding and large equipment operations. Ryan enjoys wakeboarding and long-range shooting in his spare time. Friendly and easygoing, Ryan is looking forward to expanding his circle of friends and colleagues. Which one is Ryan? Okay, in the middle there. So Ryan, spin around real quick and tell me, how do you do wakeboarding in Mississippi?
Pull that boat on the river.
Oh, okay. So we got enough water for you to be doing. We may have more water before it's all over with. So, okay. So we welcome Ryan Clausen as a new firefighter. And next we have George Granfield. George was born and raised in London, England, and moved to Starkville at 2010 at the age of 15. He joined the Mississippi Army National Guard at the age of 19 and deployed to Kuwait and Syria in 2018. His mother and Laura and his father Andrew both live here in Starkville, while his 2 older brothers Daniel and Charlie live in Virginia. George enjoys hanging out with friends and hunting. And George, which one are you? Okay. Is there an accent that goes with that?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Oh, there is. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for your service and welcome. So.
Thank you very much.
Jason O'Connor is excited to be working for the Starkville Fire Department. Jason has been married to his wife Christina for 20 years. They have a daughter Brooklyn and a dog Bella. Jason brings previous years of fire experience from Tupelo and Aberdeen. He believes one of the most important qualities of being a firefighter is physical fitness, which leads to his hobbies in CrossFit and physical outdoor activities. And by the process of elimination, you don't have to raise your hand, Jason, so welcome. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate you being with us.
Good to meet you. Yes, sir.
So nice.
Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you.
And last but not least, we have Gerald Lyle McCaskey III, Code Enforcement Officer. Lyle moved to Starkville from Huntsville, Alabama to pursue a degree in criminology at Mississippi State University. During his years in college, he worked as a line cook at Waffle House, caught shoplifters for Walmart, and dispatched for the Mississippi State University Police Department. Lyle enjoys building computers and writing software and has created a police department management application that would assist departments in their commission on accreditation for law enforcement agencies, CALEA. One of Lyle's favorite things to do is spend a quiet afternoon with his wife Rebecca and their 2 dogs. Lyle looks forward to contributing to the Starkville community and making it the best place to be. Well said, Lyle. Thank you.
We appreciate you. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
And that is all I have for this evening. Well, I tell you what I can say. We had a very good MLK Day yesterday. The Unity Breakfast was excellent. The speaker was excellent. And for those of you who were there, I know you enjoyed it. And for those of you who weren't, you missed a very nice event. And the march was also very good. So I encourage everyone next year to put that on your calendar and attend both the breakfast and the march. Even though it was a little chilly, we had a very good turnout. So thank you all for that. Board of Aldermen, any comments from the board? None? Okay. Citizens' comments. Now is the opportunity for anyone who wishes to speak to the board, to the citizens, and to the Facebook audience to come up and give us your 3 minutes of your thoughts. This doesn't necessarily mean we will respond back, but we are certainly here to listen.
Good evening to the mayor and board. My name is Alvin Connor, Ward 7. All right, I have kept a good book with me. To the mayor, to the fire chief, to the police chief, to the NACP, Yolanda Haddock.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
We have some things that have been coming around, and well, I say that for the public hearing. But we have the people are very glad about the sidewalk on Highway 25. They are very happy and they feel safe, and they will want to, when it's the completion date, they are feel safe to walk on the side and don't have to walk on the road. And the cameras, they are is also, and that Jefferson concerns upstairs.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And in case anyone hasn't noticed, we've begun work on the sidewalks on Highway 12 as well. So we'll be seeing those come around. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board? Good evening.
I'm Casey Trainer. I'm with the Starkville Marriage Council. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer. And I would just like to say thank you to the mayor and to the board for all y'all support. And we have a clothes drive coming up in March the 7th. And we'll be setting up at the Gillespie Street Center the 6th. And if you'd like to bring out any clothes or just invite someone to come to the clothes drive, that would be much appreciated. And once again, thank you for all you do. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. All right, anyone else? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we will move to public appearances, and we have the very great pleasure, as we do once a year, of former Alderman Dumas coming and talking to us about the SMART program and having a public hearing. So we'll turn that over to you, Mr. Dumas.
Thank you all. It's always an honor to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. I want to introduce Ronnie White, my associate director. We have Larry Graves walking around, transit manager. Tanner Roberson is our customer service coordinator. So this is a public hearing. I do appreciate that. Have a short presentation. We have a sign-up sheet going around that we have to present as part of our record of this meeting, and then we'll be glad to take questions from y'all and then any opportunity from those in the audience as well. We do appreciate it. We do this annually, obviously. Annual funds through MDOT that we seek. So some of this is boilerplate, but I know the most important part is when we talk about our the past year. So we'll talk about that, some of the changes we'll see in the future, and where we're really hoping to go from here. So funding details. We are funded through the 5311 Rural Mass Transit Program through the Mississippi Department of Transportation. They receive their money, and we are a subrecipient of that through the Federal Transit Authority. We receive two types of money. 80-20 is what we refer to as 80-20, administrative capital costs, so all buses and facilities that we build, and administrative costs are 80%, 20% shares through MDOT and through our local cost share. Operational shares, which are drivers, maintenance, tires, etc., is a 50-50 operational cost share. Again, through Mississippi State and local cash share that I'll talk to in a minute. And then, as we have in the last 3 or 4 years, we're very thankful of the $50,000 that y'all contribute as part of your outside contribution funds. And then we also, this past year, have secured $50,000 from Oktibbeha County, all of which go a long way in helping us to meet our operational needs. So we operate 3 different types of systems. A fixed route, which is where we have a set schedule. They start at 7, they end at 8, or they start at 7 and end at 6. Most run Monday through Saturday, some Monday through Friday. We have set stops, and we can't deviate from those. We also have flex routes, which are those same types of fixed routes, but they have some caveats in there where, given certain circumstances, we can slightly deviate. And then our paratransit program, we've talked about several times in here, is an on-demand. So it's a 24-hour notice. You call, we'll respond. We do, as required by our funding, participate in regional and statewide coordination through our regional transit folks. So how did we do last year? Larry works very hard in having to help keep this system go, and we talk about the numbers that we're seeing increasing, and we're very excited to announce that last year, system-wide, we saw a 20.5% increase from calendar year 19 to the ridership that we experienced in calendar year 18. So our system's growing, and those numbers are on a 750,000, basically, system-wide numbers, annual ridership. But what we really appreciate is the fact that the largest percent of that increase is coming in our city routes. So when you look at the city routes, those routes that are in the city, some of which go back and forth from the campus, but most of which are just city alone, this past year we saw an 18.4% increase on those routes alone. So we're pleased to see that those numbers are continuing to grow and it's being utilized in the city. I'm often asked, how many people do we have ride a day? You know, it goes a long way. I got an anonymous letter a couple of weeks ago where, you know, it was back to that old adage we heard when we first started, that somebody was sitting at Hardee's and saw the bus go by, and lo and behold, it's a failure. There was nobody in the bus, you know. It's that same stuff we heard. Thankfully, we haven't heard it in a while. But one of the things that was mentioned was daily ridership. And so our lowest month per year really is our July month. So it's the slowest one on campus. There aren't many people here. But it's a good indication of what we see on a daily ridership in the city, because the ones riding in July are most likely the ones that ultimately need the service the most. And so this past year, in July, we had an average daily ridership of 516 folks across the system. So, you know, some routes had 150, some of them had 50 or whatever it may be. But that's 516 folks that otherwise don't have the opportunities on transportation. And that changes significantly, obviously, when we get in the fall semester where we see system-wide, we're averaging over 6,000 riders a day. So you can see how big of a difference when school is back in session makes. Paratransit, it's a point of pride for us. It's obviously our biggest challenge in terms of dispatching and servicing, because each one of these trips have to be scheduled. Each one of them have to require a single van or a single vehicle to go out and pick them up. And this past year, we've seen an increase of 55% in terms of overridership. So we finished calendar year 18 with almost 4,000 riders, and this year we finished calendar year 19 with over 6,000. That's an average monthly total of about 515 trips, and 21 new members have signed up. Just talked about and got some updated numbers. We're in the county. This is our first year since August to be out in the county, and we now have 5 or 6 members that are county alone, and we've done a little over 100 trips out in the county. Yes, sir.
I think you might have answered it. I was going to ask, is obviously not an increase in individuals that need the service, so is it educational or something? And
It's
maybe
educational. It's just like this past week when we're a part of SMART, as part of our funding requires we be a part of the regional or local emergency plan. And so we were actioned as part of the county lake evacuation process. And so one of the processes we went through was we had to go get an individual, bring them out of there as part of the evacuation zone. And in a brief conversation with the son, you know, they were unaware of the whole service. So I don't know how that changed, but it's just a continual education aspect of new people that are not aware. 770 chairlifts this past year, and so that's 64 a month. So you do the math, that's 2 or 3 people per working day that we pick up in a wheelchair that otherwise don't have an opportunity for service. Routes and stops, there is no change, and I'm glad to say that. And I know these people behind me are glad to hear me say that. All the routes are staying the same. All the stops are staying the same. We're making a very minor change in how we leave vowels so that it's a little safer well, y'all know I'm colorblind and I can't find this thing up there, so I won't use it. But anyway, we used to come out of Vowels and go behind Vowels and take a right over there where the fish place was in Fred's parking lot on Wood Street and take a left. Well, those big buses going across that lane of traffic was unsafe, and so one of our riders made a suggestion that it would be best if we went up Washington Street, take a right on Gillespie Street, and go use the light at Jackson to get back onto Jackson. Something I don't know why we hadn't thought about, but that, in essence, is really the only change we're making to any route that we have. I have circled the Louisville Street project on this because we've been working closely with your city engineer about the Safe Routes to School project that's going there, and I think we are equally as anxious as y'all are to have that project finished and done, because we will, like we did last year, we will add 2 shelters along that sidewalk like we did at Loxley last year, which have been a huge success in numbers of riders that are using it. Across 25 from where that Shell station is on the corner of Academy, and then on further south around where that Starkville LP gas location is, that'll serve that Sand Hill Road area, because we have a lot of people that will walk all the way from Sand Hill Road and all those housing complexes along 25 all the way down to Emerson to get on the bus. So we think these will be heavily utilized, and we're anxious for them to be there. So what's our budget look like? Well, we're actually doubling our budget, and I'm going to give you a caveat on why in a minute, not operationally. Typically, we're a little over $4 million a year in our ask to what we ask for and receive. This year, we're seeking $9.4 million. We're seeking, that's with the proposed cost share of $2.9 million. 2.5 of that's coming from Mississippi State. Again, I'll talk about why in a minute. Various contracts and advertisings due to various successes that we've had, that's continued to increase, and we see that cost share continuing to improve. And then obviously we will continue to seek and ask for that $50,000 contribution from your outside contribution funds, and do the same with Oktibbeha County. So what are our goals this year? Improve customer service, maintenance, and new buses, and a facility. I should have put that in there. But improve customer service, so no routes changing. One of the things we've done this past year is we've put out a schedule, and so we're proud of the fact that we now have documented schedules. You've had some out here on your counter for the last several months that give an exact ETA or an estimated time of arrival of when those buses will show up. We first wrote we got our first funding for SMART in 2012. We started acquiring buses, so now we're 8-9 years into the life cycle of some of these buses. So maintenance is becoming an issue, just like any older vehicle will. So we're continuing to work on our maintenance process and through the acquisition of buses. Screenshot from Double Map. We continue to push this as an app, as an online application that you can go through and track the buses and see exactly where the buses are on any route. You can customize it just for the routes that you have. So it is a growing point of pride of us on our customer service side. This is a screenshot of our new pamphlets that we have. So for every route that we now operate, we have our schedule. Our schedule's printed. This is a pamphlet. So you open the pamphlet, it tells you the route, corresponding color to the signage on the route. It tells you an interesting tidbit about the route and all the things that you can visit along the route. It tells you about the Double Map app, paratransit, and all the things that are available to you. And then this is too small to see, but then it lists for every stop, whether it's an outbound or inbound stop from campus, what the stop number is, and it tells you the estimated time of arrival of that bus at that particular location. So for those who don't want to pull out their phone or text or whatever they can to look at the app, they can reference this schedule to know when the bus will arrive. Well, that orientation didn't work. This sideways, incorrectly skewed in proportion
Can you
thing.
rotate that, Joel?
Huh? Yeah, open up the PDF. This is the reason that our funding has doubled. So what we've done in the past several years is we have been, through our auxiliary and enterprise funds on campus, building a capital expense fund. We've done that so that we can help cover cost share with buses as those prices increase. But we've also been earmarking certain funds so that we have the money to build a facility. When transit first started on campus, they were in a storage building, had a window unit that only blew cold air, didn't even blow hot air, which there's enough of that. Oftentimes, you don't need a window unit. But then we went to a used double-wide trailer. Well, we were in that until 2 or 3 years ago, and now we're in a metal building that it serves us very well. But it is not indicative of the service and the quality of service, whether it be the types of employees that we have or the services we're providing. And so we're proud to say that we now have the expense fund to the level that will allow us to seek funds through FTA, through their 5339 bus and bus facilities program, to build and design a facility that we think are indicative and are emblematic of the services that we provide. And so this building has been designed by local architect Schaefer, Zonder & Zonder, and it's at the end of Buckner Lane where it hits Hell State Boulevard. So as you're coming up Hell State Boulevard, the Recplex is on your left. This will be sitting on the hill immediately across from you. It has driver lockers, break rooms, all the things that we need so that this can be our command center on a day-to-day basis of both dispatching and handle emergencies and everything that we have to go through. So we're seeking these funds. MDOT's aware of these funds, and so that facility has increased that cost by about $4.5 million is what we're seeking there in capital cost.
What size is it?
It's about, oh, you should have asked me that.
Sorry, it's okay.
It's, I can do the math. It's a very efficient facility because it has driver locker rooms on the left. It has a break room and all the dispatch things, well, the break room in the front there, and then it has all the driver inboarding and offboarding that they do pre-trip and post-trip. And then on the right-hand side is the entryway where the, the office associates and all the administrative staff will be. It's a very efficient building.
Okay, thank you.
I should have known that number. I was about to say 10,000 square feet, but it's slightly larger than 10. The original program started at 10, and then it crept, but only by a small percentage above the 10. So it's not
Larger than
overly large.
10,000, got it.
Slightly larger than 10,000.
Okay.
But I hate to say that for the record, but
Okay.
we're proud of it. So that's on our goal sheet for this year as well. So that's everything I have. Talked about our numbers, talked about ridership. The continued support by everybody here, and I guess I'll be remiss. I hope that Mr. Turner will get up and speak, but this is our first public hearing where Ms. Isaac will not be here. So I hate that she won't be here to join us. I always enjoyed her conversation and her, unfortunately, there was not a stop and rolling heels. But one day we will, and we will have the appropriate name when it does because it will be the Isaac stop. But I do appreciate always the conversation and the support that y'all have for us, and so we look forward to moving forward.
Well, I'm going to ask a question because your jump from 18 to 19, how is that compared to 17 to 8? Do y'all have a bar graph somewhere? Because I'm interested to see how much.
We do. There's some caveats in there.
Oh, okay.
So we have passenger counters. So Double Map is a new system it's new in terms of being 2-3 years old. When transit started, we had a system called Synchromatics. Synchromatics did bus tracking, it did passenger counting, et cetera. We found that there was some poor data in that, and so through some audit processes, we found that some of the numbers that were originally, and we're talking about 8-9 years ago, that were originally disclosed in terms of ridership, and this was even before some of the numbers for SMART, this was just when it was MSU Transit, were not very accurate. Due to procurement issues, it took us 3 or 4 years to get a whole new system in place and put in place, and we were doing paper counts. So for a time there, we had very accurate city ridership, and because when 5 people get on a bus, it's pretty simple for a bus driver to put that information down. The problem is when you pull up to a stop on campus and 60 or 70 people get on the bus at the same time, and that driver's trying to maintain a schedule, you don't get very accurate counts. So when you look at the history of data there, it went pretty high originally, which we think there was some not very accurate data in there. Then we actually decreased. So overall ridership right now is like at 770,000 for this past calendar year, compared to the previous calendar year, which was like 640,000 captured numbers, but we know we had poor data in there. Because those large buses on campus, we saw no decrease in the capacity of those buses and how many people were on a bus, but we saw a significant drop in recorded numbers.
Okay,
All
so
that to say, we're confident now in the numbers we have. We have a whole new system in place that has automatic passenger counters, so it takes the net of who enters and exits. And
so you didn't have good data in 17?
I'm not going to bet anything on city routes we do. We think our numbers were low, so I put that all on the low side. So while we're at 770,000 from calendar year 18 to 19, we're pretty firm on that and believe those numbers because of the new technology. But when you look at the 14, 15, 16, there's some error in the data that we're not real comfortable with.
Okay, I was just curious because I wondered, that was such a jump that I'll be very interested then to track at what you get next year.
Well, the fluctuations have all been on campus, and that's another thing when you really dive into the numbers. The thing we're most pleased with and has been consistently growing is that city number.
Yeah,
Because we know we have good numbers there in terms of counting because it's an easier process for them to count the numbers that are there.
well, those are wonderful, significant numbers, and I'm
Right.
delighted for them. So I
And-
just was
and
going
I
to
say
also
all
ask
that
how you were making it grow. If word of mouth,
Well,
advertising.
There's some issues on campus where it's a difference of 50,000 or 70,000 on one route that carries 300,000 a year. So it's a different of that magnitude just on one or two routes on campus.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions from the board members? Mr. Alderman Carter.
First of all, congratulations to y'all on your building. I know you're excited for that. That's exciting news. Second was, I've noticed an increased ridership just being around town, and I drive around all day, every day with my occupation, and I have definitely noticed over the last couple of years, and that's, I think, to education and building it into your lifestyle. Third, I fielded a very odd question. I sent somebody a number, I'm not sure. It was during the tornado that day, just letting you know that somebody asked about paratransit during the tornado shelter, and I advised them to shelter in place. I said I didn't think it'd really expedite anything to make that
Yeah.
call. So just letting you know and appreciate everything that y'all do, and anything we can help you with, let us know.
Thank you. Yeah, they use the shelter actually as one of the evacuation points for the dam issue. So it was, we're not gonna get out on the road in a tornado, but yeah, prior to that, we'll be glad to help.
Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
Thank y'all.
Anyone
Yes, sir.
else? Alderman Beatty.
Show me again your budget's increasing to 9.4 million. Where's your revenue? Where's it going?
So the revenue, when you look at revenue,
I'm just curious on it.
no, that's fine. So every year, we're about 4.1 or 2, 4.5-ish. Thank you. In total ask, this year we grow to 9.4 because of that $4.5 million in increased ask for the facility. So that increase in revenue comes directly from the MSU share, which are enterprise auxiliary dollars that come through MSU Parking and Transit Services.
Anyone else? All right, ready for us to open it for public hearing?
We are. Thank you.
All right, we will do that. All right, we will open this for a public hearing. It is a mandatory part of the process here. So, and I see Mr. Turner is going to do exactly what you wanted him to do. He's going to come talk to us.
Good evening to everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Turner.
Like I said again, I'm glad I have my Bible because we have some issues with we have female drivers and we have young female drivers and we have people that feel like that they can get the jump on them when nobody's watching. And it's been a problem. Lately, they been called out the name and different stuff like that, and I'm gonna call in on you and all that stuff, and they be trying to get them to stop in place that they cannot stop. They tell them that I cannot stop that, but I'm gonna call in on you. And it's sad that people, it don't take but one bad apple to mess it up for everybody. And some people, they be on the telephone and bus come up, bus leave, then they get mad. And they want to clown. But I tell them that you don't have to put up with that. Only thing you have to do is just code red. That'll take care of that. But the female driver, they appreciate my being there, at least a man on the bus. And soon as I get my police shirt, most times when they see that, they get nervous. But we continue to be thankful that of the people that we have, and the older drivers don't have such a problem. But we have the younger drivers that they easy to get terminated by people that feel that they have bad. And then when they get barred off the bus, then they get mad. But we need to have some rules in place that be respectful, do what's right, or don't make it hard for people. The paratransit, a lot of people, they need to kind of get familiar with that. But our problem really is people want them to stop when they don't need, where they can't stop. And the 230 route, sometimes we have problems and we don't know who to call. But if you give me numbers that that can call after hours, because sometimes we have problems and they don't know who to call. And just, just for safety, because it get dark and you got some of everything out there now. And that just my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Anyone else wishing to speak during the public hearing regarding the smart bus system? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close it as a public hearing.
Thank you.
Anything further? All right, thank you so much. It adds a wonderful element to our community, and we greatly appreciate it.
May I ask a question?
I'm sorry.
Alderman Dumas,
Sister?
before you get away. Have y'all given thought to expanding the paratransit service? Is it at that point of needing expansion? What would it require for you to be able to expand it?
In terms of numbers or area?
Numbers.
Well, we have 3 buses. Last year in the presentation, I talked about how we had 1 van. This year, we now have 3. So in the past year, we've gotten 3 vans that we've been waiting for. We have hired additional paratransit drivers, and part of that number is the fact that we now have more reservation slots that we can fill through that expansion. Honestly, our biggest issue is finding good qualified drivers. So if you want to go get your CDLs, we'd be glad to have you.
Have you seen me drive?
No, but yes, maybe I have. But that has helped that whole number of opening more slots. One of the biggest things I won't go into that, but there are paratransit as it continues to grow, and with dialysis and the way that it continues to grow, and others, and the lack of any other alternative transportation option out there from a medical transport standpoint, there's a limit, and we're quickly getting there. We just can't keep hiring drivers and drivers and drivers. But it's a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's a challenge, but it's one of those things where drivers are the key driver there. But thankfully we now have the buses or the vans that we can now rotate through.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else before we let them get away?
All
Thank
right.
you again.
Thank you again.
Appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is planning item. Did I miss one? I'm sorry, could we help you? This is not the proper time. AC, would you just discuss that with him, find out what we need to know here? Mr. Haviland?
Yes, PP 20-02. This is the request by Double B Properties for preliminary plat approval for subdividing a .68 acre parcel into 2 lots. The proposed subdivision is named Double B Properties and is located in a formerly zoned R3 zoning district at 400 Highway 389. And this was submitted prior to the implementation of the new zoning district, so it is being reviewed and judged on the R3 zoning district and through the older processes. The plat proposal has been reviewed by the Development Review Committee, and revisions were made per the comments by the Development Review Committee. Proposed development has a gross density of 2.9 units per acre. The infrastructure plan has been submitted for review by the Development Review Committee and will be reviewed based on approval of the Board of Aldermen. Ingress and egress easements are shown on the plat. That is the dashed line that goes from the top left down to the bottom. Shared driveway. Additional easements for sidewalks and utilities may be required on the final plat. Electric service, water, sanitary sewer are provided by Starkville Utilities. There are 9 recommended conditions that are kind of the standard conditions for any preliminary plat. And on January 14, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of preliminary plat with the 9 conditions. If there are any questions.
All right, Alderman Walker.
I just have a couple questions. I want to make sure that I'm clear what I'm looking at right here. So they are just re-subdividing this, it was a single line and they're subdividing it into 2 lines?
I believe it's 2 lots, but they're adjusting the line. So
It's two
basically
lines and they're adjusting the line. And looking at this, I was having a difficult time orienting myself on the plat.
Correct.
So is on the left side, which I'm assuming is going to be the west, is that Jackson Street?
Correct, that is Jackson
Okay.
Street and then Christ.
And so is that existing ingress egress that's to the north, is that already in place? And then a new ingress easement from the south?
I don't believe that's in the exact location of where it is, that's just what they're proposing. The lot lines are developed based on the site plan that they've already started working on that hasn't been fully reviewed or approved yet. And so that's why the lot lines kind of turn in a little bit, and that's to capture the appropriate number of parking spaces per lot for what they're proposing to do.
But Jackson Street's to the west.
Correct.
And so when we approve the preliminary plat, as y'all move through development review process for the actual site plan, we will at that point make sure we have ingress egress is appropriate for both Kreitz and Jackson Street.
Correct. They'll definitely review the location of that ingress egress based on the access management policy.
Thank you.
All right, anything else while we're here? Is the applicant here? Mr. Ramsey, anything you wish to add to?
I don't think
What
so.
Mr.
I think
Havlin
that ingress egress discussion is an important one. Property line obviously is an important one. I don't believe so from a preliminary plat standpoint.
Okay, let me see if the board has any questions. Any questions of the applicant? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move approval
Okay.
of the preliminary plat with conditions as listed.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Walker for the preliminary plat with the conditions as listed. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Vaughn. Discussion. Anyone? All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, the next item we have is consideration of a resolution approving naming of Vista Avenue. That is the projected, Joel, can you call that up? That's the street that is not yet completed, that runs along the side of the Vista project, and that will go on and continue in to connect with College View at some point in the not too distant future. So, yes, I was going to do that. I was just going to give Dr. Kim a moment to pull it up on the screen. Or not. I thought there was a picture. There it is. I knew it'd come up. Okay, thank you, Dr. Kim. I think Alderman Walker had a
I was
question.
going to say, this was brought up at the work session on Friday, and I would say the only comment that I would have would, because Page Avenue is directly south of this proposed street, that I would, because of that, I would lean towards potentially recommending that this that as opposed to the Vista, which is the name of the project, that could very well change over time. Would consider naming the road as Page Avenue Extended. I believe.
Yeah,
Dr.
that name
Tim,
is
you-
available.
Yeah, you verified that
Right.
name is available for use, just so that there would be some continuity from Page along that north-south. But having said that, I'm certainly open to other suggestion, but I would think I would be in favor of that name versus Vista, but certainly open to suggestion.
Well, can I make or actually be more of a question? Is there a reason not to go ahead and name it just Page Avenue as opposed to Extended?
Yeah,
mean,
it is not quite aligned, but we can actually name it as a Page Avenue too.
Or North Page and South Page.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would,
All right,
I would
That's the
absolutely
way,
be fine with
that's like Nash Street.
Page Avenue North.
okay. Would you like to make that a motion?
Sure, I would, I want to be clear on that because, as the motion, because again, Page Avenue North, but clearly that is just for the naming of the road and has nothing to do with the acceptance of the street at this point.
Right, no, absolutely, I understand. Okay.
So however that needs to be worded.
All right, we have a motion to name this street Page Avenue North.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
Does that motion say that's not acceptance of the street?
Yes. You think North Page? Move approval, only naming of the roadway as North Page Avenue, while the Board of Aldermen reserves the right to accept or reject the actual dedication of the roadway by subsequent board order.
Okay, so I have a motion of that. Everyone understand the motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Beatty. Further discussion? Anyone? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And then under Finance Administration, we have a claims docket. Do I have a motion? Motion from Alderman Carver, a second Alderman Walker, was that you? Alderman Little, all right, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Is that a 5-2? Motion carries. All right, and that concludes, I
Mayor, we
believe.
Go to closed session.
I have a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
And a second for that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll be going into closed session if you would. Okay, everybody? Okay, the board has voted to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the job performance of an employee in the sanitation department. If you would, please clear the room.
Or just the board, I mean, what about to get this thing back out to bids again? They work with all, the same, well, they need two different things to bid on.
I'm sorry, everybody's back. I apologize. Mr. Latimer is going to read the motion. The board did take action in executive session. Mr. Latimer will read the motion.
The board approved the recommendation of Calvin Ware to terminate Jerry and Jefferson from the sanitation department effective immediately.
Okay, thank you. And that is our last bit of action. I will read that we are going to be having our work session on the 31st. It will be at 10 o'clock on the second floor conference room, and public is invited to attend. We will be advertising within the hour. On the front door will be posted, and we will look forward to seeing you all at that time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mayor.
A motion from Alderman Little to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Vaughn. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, under an hour, guys.